Let me see. Am I online? Hmm. Hi guys, it's me Nori. Welcome to the stream. Tonight we are playing Night Drive. Okay? A short but a powerful Fury visual novel set in Falls Hollow. It's a small application. Appalachian. Well, this is happening in a small town, guys, with some dark secrets. The story follows Dani Resdrin as he tries to find his best friend Jonah after a disturbing message. And well, let's just say things can go very different depending on our choices. This is actually the first entry of the Tales of Us universe, so it sets the stage for something bigger, and I am really excited. I am really excited to experience it with you all together live. So grab a drink, coffee, dog, cola, tea. What drinks you guys? Your beer? uh, which drinks you guys prefer? And get cozy and let's hit the road. Okay, let me close this, close the picture and start the game. Nine. No, not this. In my documents, my drive. Okay. Someone is speeding up using their motorbike. My place. Black cheap. Okay. Tales of Us. Night Drive. I already adjusted the voice, guys. So, but I didn't play the game. So, continue. But I do not have anything. Okay. Start. Dani tires scream against the asphalt as his van veered sharply off the freeway exit, his view of sky darkening as the roadside trees casted shadows on the road around him. It was late, far too late, for much traffic, which likely made it easier for him to yank the car around a corner without bothering to slow down, the rear wheels barely hanging on and protesting against him with more shrill screeches. Okay. But Dani did not care. Oh, Dani, why you didn't care? Dani, seriously, man. He did not care, because it wouldn't matter. None of it would matter if he did not make it in time. Okay. Man. His eyes glanced at the needle, slowly creeping further and further around the speed meter as his foot pressured the gas. 92, 95, 98. Ah. From here, it takes 15 minutes going around 50. Okay. Seriously, Dani? You gonna go that fast? Going 100 should have that less if the lights stay green. Holy fuck. Okay, please stay green. Please stay green. Please stay green. He suddenly jolted the steering wheel, practically drifting around a curve and sending his phone that had been resting on the passenger seat beside him to toppling down onto the floor as his body slammed into the corner console, into the center console. One hand shut down to catch it, using the other hand on the wheel to swerve slightly as his wheels peeled out again in protest. The wall tilted as the car swerved, barely avoiding the flashing orange cones and barricades of a construction zone that he was sure hadn't been there the week before. Okay. F. Should he call Liz? Maybe Silas. How long ago was the text sent? His thumb frantically thumped the screen until it managed to find the call button again. Finally looking down at the screen, he flickered over to the messaging app as his car blasted past a red light. Jonah, so was a man. Not 12:25 a.m. Hey, sorry for sending this so late. I just thought I would let you know that I don't think I'm going to be around much longer. Wait, what? Maybe you will meet each other again sometime. If the others ask, tell them I missed them. Seriously? 12. The message seen after like almost 10 minutes or 20 minutes. He glanced at the time. 12. Oh. F. Jonah! He said it out loud to himself, to Jonah, to anyone else who may have gotten the same message he did. He was getting close now. The neighborhood was just down the street a few turns and he's there. The light ahead was green this time. He swerved around the corner. He felt the back half of his car swinging behind him. Jonah, you are doing something. Past the train station, past the corner store, past the pizza place, past the gas. Holy. I'm trying not to get monetized, guys. That's why I'm trying my best not to say the words. There sat Jonah. He was pressed into the shadows against the dark wall of the gas station, knees tucked loosely into his chest, back against the wall. He would recognize the white fur anywhere, and the scuffed blue jeans and the gray incise loop-dick trouble hoodie that he wore made Dani certain even at just a glance. Without thinking, Dani slammed on his brakes, nearly losing control of the car again as it slid to the small road. The car barely came to a complete stop as he threw the car into park and stepped out, not bothering to cut the engine. He half jogged to Jonah, who hadn't moved in the slightest, his arm over his knees and his head tucked down onto the races it made. Where is the picture here? I do not see the picture. Dani breathed, as was rigid now that he had found Jonah. He wasn't too late. Hey! He saw Jonah jump. Let me see. Oh, wait. Let me save. Save here. Now. Should I quit or back? Main menu. Yeah, main menu. Yeah. Continue. Oh, I guess there is no picture, guys. He saw Jonah jump, shuddering as the wolf's head shot upright to look back at him. His eyes were wide and bloodshot, and drying tears had dug trenches through the fur on his cheeks. He buried his face in his sleeve, rubbing the tears out of his eyes. When he looked back up at Dani, His ears had seemed relaxed, and he now wore a shaky smile. Hey, um, hey, Dani. Dani winced at the chalked words, and the wolf tried to rub the tears from his eyes as another faint, whimpering sound escaped his throat. Okay, you're out pretty late. Yeah, I got your message. Danny tried to offer a reassuring smile he could, but his eyes scanned Jonah up and down, searching for blood, a knife, a razor, anything. From what he could tell, both hands were empty, sleeves unstained, and a grey plastic bag sat next to him, with the word "Thank you" printed on the side in yellow text. Oh. Jonah glanced away for a moment, breaking eye contact. Sorry about that. I was just... The last word stopped abruptly, like it caught in the back of his throat as it stretched from his mind. Jonah swallowed the knot of words back down, using Danny to wait until he eventually realized that Jonah wasn't going to finish. Hey, it's okay. Danny's voice was weaker than he wanted it to sound, more timid. He cleared his throat a little in an attempt to readjust and sound more casual. He opened his mouth to speak, but the words got caught in his throat just the same as Jonah had. Oh, can I? What? He gestured slowly to an empty spot on the wall just next to Jonah. The wolf glanced back, up, following Danny's gaze to the wall, and the road he responded with was so subtle and slow that Danny almost missed it. Seriously, game. Let me save again. Let me quit. Yeah. This is the location. The picture here is showing night drive. And I am having running nose. Oh. Question at all. Do you guys have this issue also when you play the game? The wolf glanced back, following Danny guys to the wall, and the nod he responded with was so subtle and slow that Danny almost missed it. Danny's body felt stiff as he started walking to approach the wall again, like somehow it was no longer fully his own. He shuffled forward slowly, knees locked and head down. In that moment, Danny would have given anything to wake up and find that this all had been nothing but a vivid nightmare. Oh, okay. There you go. Danny back slid down against the wall, stopping in a sitting position just beside his friend, one leg stretched out on into the lodge and the other hiked up into his stomach. He glanced down at his shoes, then to Jonah, then to the street light he parked underneath anything. His mind was still racing. He realized. He leaned his head back, closed his eyes, and drew deep breath. He let out and then drew one more. Okay, he made it. That was the first step. He did not think much past his point. If he was being honest himself, he figured he would show up and find 1920, maybe humiliation. He got a text. It was all he could think about. Jonah in some red stained bathtub, or in some closet next to a knocked over stall. Then he shook his head, pushing the grim thoughts from his mind. He was here now, right next to him. He could. What could he do? He got here. He got here fast. Oh, yeah. Danny chuckled as he swore he felt an updraft of heat coming from beneath him. He glanced back at his hiked knee, studying a hole in his jean. I'm actually kinda surprised my car did not fucking explode or something. Oh, you really scared the shit out of me. Danny chuckled nervously. He glanced up, still holding the fox smile. But the smile immediately fell when he saw how hard Jonah looked by it. No, it's, I don't mind, I know. I'm sorry. Daddy paused for a moment, not knowing what else to do. He stood and offered his hand down. Come on. Oh, well, the ground here isn't exactly luxury seating. I just thought maybe we could go sit in the car or something. Jonah looked up at him as if deciding something, and after a moment he reached up to take Danny by the hand, pulling himself onto his feet. It took almost all of Dani restraint to not say out with real life. You're lucky it did not die. He offered a smile to the wolf, but Jonah's eyes were trained on the car, and he held his elbows in his hand nervously. Danny then noticed the plastic bag on the ground. Jonah hadn't picked it up when he stood. Oh, I forgot your bag. Here, I will get it for you. No, wait. What? Danny had already swooped down and snugged the bag by one of the hands he was about to course as the contents toppled onto concrete, but he froze once he realized what it was. What? Beneath him was a coiled spool of hempen rope, some loose change with a total value that Danny failed to identify in the moment, clattered against the ground beside it. Head to the wall, and as he did, Jonah visibly plunged away. Okay, what is happening? Against the terrible, suffocating silence. Okay, what is going on with you, Wolfie? Then he slowly crashed down, sweeping his hand across the ground for the scattered coins. Okay, 4 dimes. A quarter. Shit, wait. No, that's a nickel. 3 or no, 4 pennies. All of the accountant change. He stood up slowly and turned to face Jonah, presenting the spelled coin in his outstretched palm. Danny's voice tremored as he spoke. I saw the price tag. It was 12.50, right? I counted 49 cents here, so I think you are missing a penny if you can live with that. Suddenly, Danny laughed, lunged forward, clutching the change in his hand as he wrapped his arm around his friend. He could feel Jonah flinch back at first, but he sat up, leaning back onto Danny's embrace. Okay, what's going on with you, Danny? Let's go back to the car, please. Okay. The two sat in silence in Danny's car, as the gentle hum and the vibration of the car engine droned on between them. Do you want anything else while we are here? I could get like a slushie. I'm alright, thanks. Here, I've got some water. He glanced down at the half-empty bottle in the cup holder. I've also got more in the bag, or you could just finish this one if you wanted it. Not sure. I'm fine. Really though, thanks. So do you want to go back to your house? I don't mind spending the night. I don't have work tomorrow. Oh, okay. You don't have work tomorrow. He lied though. It was now true. What? Although, as he glanced over the passenger side again, he noticed Jonah's expression. His shoulder hunched and his ears flattened. Oh, okay, how about we could go for a drive? A drive? One of Jonah's ears twitched. Yeah, I've got nothing else to do. Plus, I get to spend time with, Danny paused for a long moment. Another warm draft pushing through his closed window. Wasn't doing anything. He cleared his throat. Marginally more subtle than if a brick fell through the windshield. I think it might be good to hang out for a bit or something. What's wrong with you, Danny? Jonah exhaled, the edges of his muzzle briefly curled into a shape of a smile. Sure, doesn't mind, I guess. Really? Yeah, good, great. He glanced down at his phone and swept it open, smiling to himself with the idea he had suddenly formed as he opened honestly. He knows Jonah's taste in music pretty well, and even had a playlist of bands and songs he made for the wall when he bought him headphones for his last birthday. With a moment back, Alley Walk Wallflower began to blast over the speaker, causing the both of them to jump at the suddenly bassy drums. No, both of you like that song. Do you guys like it also? Danny's hand flew to the volume knob and cranked it down a little too much, so he sat in reasonably loud volume. They sat it at least loud enough to drown out whatever thought might still be swimming around in the wolf's head. Danny looked to Jonah with a showman's smile, hoping to see a similar expression from Jonah, but the wolf face was flat and placed. His stony eyes half glazed over as if he did not recognize the song in this. Okay, something wrong. Wait, Danny thought as he finally put the car into reverse. This was his favorite song, right? As he turned out of the parking lot, Jonah seemed to blink back to reality. But something still wasn't quite right. His face was still sunken and lost. As the two made eyes contact, the wolf's expression shifted into an an assuming smile that did not reach his eyes. The sight terrified Dani. Of course, Jonah had been lost in his own head before, and of course he would eventually merge back to his surroundings, but not like this. Even now, with the same smile he always wore when he returned, his eyes were like he was already dead. Dani turned, breaking eye contact and returning a smile, though he wasn't sure if it looked like it. Was untied. It felt wrong on his face. I felt as if his ribs had suddenly compressed themselves. I mean, oh, if I am remembering right, you told me you were starting to work on a new song, right? How that been going? He surprised himself at how loose his tone was, how unaware it sounded. It's alright. Dani nodded, turning his head toward Jonah, but keeping his eyes on the road. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Something wrong with Jonah. You know, Angie is pretty good at singing. Oh, or at least I think so anyway. If it Gonji or something. Grongi. And also, I've been learning to play piano in my spare time, which is basically just synths. I bet if you could find like a drummer or something, maybe Silas, he has that pent up rage vibe that most drum guys have, right? I think we'd make a pretty kick-ass band. He glanced at Jonah, only taking in his incred- in- incredulous look for a split second. Hold on, hear me out. Me, you, and Angie, maybe Silas, and then maybe you could get one of the others on, like I don't know, bells or something. He heard Jonah snort sharply beside him at the proposition and decided to follow up with a playful nudge of his elbow. His face lighted up as he saw the beginning of a genuine smile begin to gather on the wolf face. Come on, tell me it's not a great idea. I really think I might be onto something here. No, it just the thought of Angie singing. The wolf chuckled genuinely this time. I don't think that's something the world is ready for. Dani glanced at Jonah, just the reflection of life back in the wolf's eyes made it all the difference to Dani. He nudged Jonah on again. His smile wide, unreal. So what I'm hearing is that we've got something unique. Isn't that kind of stuff exactly what you need to make it in music? Well, well, sure. But you have to sound good too. With our incredible talent and unparalleled potential, that shouldn't be too hard after some practice. You could spend some time practicing to nail down that vibe. And then from there we could start small. Garage band type stuff. We could start with local places maybe and watching the crowd go from like just our parents to like a restaurant or something, a bar with a little stage. Start building a presence, start a social media. As he realized, it felt as if his chest hollowed and collapsed all at once. the content of his stomach lifting weightless within it. Parents, you dumbass. He grabbed the steering wheel tight with both hands. Head and eyes both locked forward on the road. The last of his smile died near instantly. He didn't look at Jonah. He didn't think he could. Sorry. It's okay. Up ahead, Danny noticed that the back of a large sign that indicated they were approaching the edge of town. How about you go this one? Take the road out of town. The two rode in silence as the night passed them by. The roads twisted. Wait. Yeah, we need to save here. Yeah. Uh, Continue. Okay. The two rode in silence as the night passed them by. The roads twisting, and the curving through the tree dense hillside until eventually straightening and opening out into the world. The sky on this particular night was cloudless and moonless out here, away from any cities. The stars were free to flourish against the vastness of the night. By this point, Danny playlist had run through completely, and now songs were beginning to take their turns, creating ambience for the two of them. Suddenly, it occurred to Danny that he had no idea where he was going. Okay. He'd simply start driving and ended up taking the road out of town without much thought at all. What's wrong with Jonah? Plus, he'd been far too focused on Jonah to think too much about something as trivial as where. All that matters are that they were here, together. Danny glanced at Jonah. The wolf head was leaned back against the seat, tilted away from him to face the window, likely taking the stars in the still silence. Just then, the screen of his phone lighted up, flashing one of many notifications that he tended to pay no mind to. But as his eyes locked to the screen, he managed to catch a glimpse of the time. 1:57. Crap. Had he really been driving that long? Almost 2 hours, man. Wait, guys, I need to do something. Oh, yeah, it's almost been 2 hours. Seeing the time and suddenly becoming consciousness of how calm things were, Danny instinctively began to open his beak for a wide yawn, but he quickly stopped himself and swallowed the yawn back down, not wanting to awaken the wolf in case he had fallen asleep. Okay. The twitching of the wolf's ear, followed by the turning of Jonah's head against the hardest Dani that Jonah had most definitely been awake. Tired. Hearing the wolf voice again after so long sent a wave of warmth through Dani that helped him snap out of his light highway madness. Oh, um, why you are? Well, I am tired also. I can't. The yawn Danny had forced down suddenly turned with a vengeance, forcing his back so wide that he could barely keep his eyes open. Keep going all night. Danny finally finished the thought after a few seconds, then say, "Well, there goes my cool guy moment." Jonah rolled his eyes, grinning playfully. "And you were so close too. Well, now I've got to think of something else cool to say." "Well, no need to rush. You've got plenty of time." Jonah inhaled sharply after he finished speaking, which led to a long, wide yawn of his own. The following exhale was loud and slow as he sank back into his chair. "It's really nice to out tonight." "Yeah, right. We got pretty lucky with the weather. I mean, imagine if it was raining or something. I don't even wanna." Jonah's voice trailed off as the two sat in silence again. But after some moment, Danny heard shifting in the seat beside him, and returning to find Jonah looking right at him. "Are you going to ask?" "Huh? About what happened tonight?" "Oh." Danny paused, the question catching him by surprise. "I wasn't really going to. I did not know if you wanted to talk about it or not, and making sure you were okay mattered more to me than knowing. I guess I mean, it still does." Although he did not turn to look at Jonah, he could see the wolf's soft smile out of the corner of his eyes. "You're a good friend, Danny." Danny's heart began to flutter in his chest. He had to restrain himself from allowing his leg to start bouncing. Suddenly, the indie rock song that had been playing absently in the background started to sound really, really good. Jonah stopped even without turning his head. Danny could see the fear on Jonah's body visible, stand on end, and immediately he knows that something was wrong. Jonah's arms were stretched out, and one reaching for the side of Danny's seat while the other prized the inside of the door. What is happening here, Jonah? Feet pressed to the floor of the car as if attempting to brace himself for a sudden impact. What happened? His breath had picked up again, and Danny could see his chest beginning to rise and fall rapidly. But the thing that truly made Danny's heart skip a beat were the wolf's eyes. They were wide, terrified. A shiver ran through Danny as his eyes darted back to the road in an instant, following Jonah's gaze. But other than the wide-field night sky and open road, there was nothing there. No. "What? Are you alright? Stop the car. Is there something out there? I don't see any. Stop the car." "What's wrong with you, Jonah?" The tires of Danny's car screeched, skidding across the road as Danny slammed his foot on the brake at the sound of Jonah's cry. The moment the car jolted to a full stop, Danny found himself turning toward Jonah. thoughts rushing through his head as his body seemed to move on its own. What happened? Is he hurt? Did he see something? Danny quickly scanned his surroundings, but seeing nothing. Yet again, his eyes darted back to Jonah to check more thoroughly for some kind of injury. But the wolf was struggling frantically in his seat, no longer looking out the window as he had a moment before. A quick glimpse at the side of Jonah's face was more than enough to see the trail of blood starting to stain the wolf's fur just below his nose. Danny opened his mouth to speak again, but the sudden sound of a click interrupting him before he could start. One of Jonah's arms reached forward, and the next thing Danny knew, the wolf had already bolted out. Wait, what? Oh shit! Danny lurched forward, but then didn't get far as his own seat belt pulled him back into his seat. Shit! Danny's eyes locked onto Jonah's back as his friend sprinted out across the road, hands pinning his ears to the side of his head. Jonah! Wait, where are you going? Come back! Danny's arm bolted to his own seatbelt, but his shaky hands were working against him. A few more moments than he ideally would have liked to feel his way toward unbuckling the belt. By the time he managed to undo his belt and open his door, the wolf was already starting to shrink into a speck in the night. Oh, it was only now, as he stood in the cool night air, that he felt his head hammering against the inside of his chest, and how cool and crisp the air truly was against his lungs. Then Danny knew he had crossed the road as well, full sprinting, his eyes only focused on not losing sight of one thing. Just as Danny's foot left the pavement and touched down onto the grass beside the road, one of the lights overhead began to flicker. Eh? That's, it wasn't supposed to be here. Not now. It wasn't supposed to came back. Then came back. His father had assured him of that. And yet, here he was, running for his life. He knew he was going to die the moment he heard it again, but that part did not matter. He had half been planning to die tonight anyway. He hadn't cared much about the practical method. But not now, not right now, not with him. The breeze felt as if it had surprised to a roaring tempest against him. The stars glittered into a swirled above his head, twisting the light of the distant nebula into unsettling spirals of vibrant bluish wings that made Jonah want to horror. A sickly metallic skin overpowered his nose, and he could feel the warm blood pooling in the back of his throat. He glanced behind him. The road was now a distant string, only even noticeable due to illuminating from the roadside lights hanging down overhead. And there, in the land farthest from him, was Danny's car. The door he had sprinted out of lingering open as the light from the open vehicle shone dimly onto the road. He didn't care if he died anymore. At this point, he was convinced that he would have deserved it. Well, not Danny, not him. Jonah closed his eyes, clenching out a new batch of tears. After everything that had happened, this was inevitable. He knew that now, but he could still fight for Dani. He could still run. He could still be alone once it found him, so that he would be the only one to die. The trembling came fast, barely audible over the sound of Jonah's own breathing as he ran. Even from distance, the noise was increased in incessant, rattling his skull from within. But within moment, it began to draw closer, louder. As the earth trembled, and Jonah knew it must have seen him. He felt his muzzle open. He felt himself scream as his skull trembled from within. But even his own shriek was drowned out by the sound of the increasing noise that threatened to make his head burst from the inside out. He reached out with an arm, swinging wildly, thrashing out at anything in the hopes that he would hit something and make it stop. What are you talking about, man? But instead of his arm, Jonah felt his foot bash hard and cold, sending him tumbling as his shoulder slammed down onto the dirt. Oh my god! Needles of pain shot through his foot and knees, but those paled in comparison to the pain that now began to ravage his shoulder. He wailed into the air, but the sound did not reach his own ears. He clawed at the dirt, pulling himself onto his knees with the only arm he could still feel, and scrambling to his feet. He tried to run, but the quacking of the earth made it impossible to find a new balance. Jonah stumbled over to his side, almost falling back onto his shoulder again, but instead managing to only fall to his knees, panting. His vision blurred as he pushed himself up. His hand clutched at the rattling skull as the wall crumbled around him. And then, that when he heard the knocking, even out in the open field, it came from all around, from everywhere, all at once, summoning the nebulas in the sky to spiral down toward him. A pair of arms wrapped around Jonah's back. It was here. It was here. It had found him. Despite knowing what came next, Jonah's arm swung with all the might he could muster. Dani lunged forward, panicking and unsure of what else to do, wrapping his arm around Jonah. The next moment, a fury fist slammed into his cheek, just below his left eye. His vision skipped as he stumbled backward, dazed until his weight fell too far from his wobbling feet, and he tumbled hard onto his side, only cushioned by the grass and the damp soil. He rolled onto his back, gasping for the air that was pressed from his lunge on the impact as a choir of ringing sounded in his ears. He looked up to Jonah, who was now near motionless, eyes still wide, with one hand caught onto a shape of a fist as he stood, nose still bloodied and panting wildly in the starlight. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Okay, that's how you should say it. Dani's head was still spinning a little from the sudden, unexpected blow, but he managed to re- re- reorient himself enough to sit up and meet Jonah's eyes, which were wide still with fear. Danny thought it was most likely from whatever was that had poked him, but there was something else there now too. Confusion. The wolf looked around sharply and unexcusably, as if searching for something nearby. Danny noticed his eyes gently darting up towards the sky, only to instantly shut back down towards the ground. Where are you? What? Are you okay? Was there someone out here? But the question fell deep ears, as Jonah's eyes continued to dart around like Danny wasn't even there. Jonah, talk to me, please. Ears twitched at the sound of his name, as his head finally turned back to Danny. Did it, Danny? The maddened look in Jonah's eyes started to fade as the wolf looked between Danny and his still clenched fist. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it to. It's cool. You are good. Danny groaned while massaging his stinging cheek gently. With reflexes like that, I'm not so worried about your survival instinct anymore. Danny chuckled slightly, but looking at the wolf again, he sensed that something was wrong again before it even happened. And a moment after the feeling passed, the wolf covered his tear-reddened face in his paw. It's all my fault. Hey, it's all my fault. It's all. I'm happy, man. Each time he uttered the phrase, he sounded more and more choked than the last. The wolf pulled his hand away from his face. Fingers slightly cold as he stared at them, eyes wide and with wild look made Danny shudder. Then Jonah clutched at the fur on his forehead so hard that Danny winced at the thought that he might tear some out. And then, when Jonah started laughing, I really am the worst. So fucked. I even thought that thing was here. But of course, it isn't. It can't be back. I'm just losing my mind. Jonah screamed the words up sky to the stars. Because all I can ever do is ruin things, my family, my life, this night. There is no point in living anymore if all I'm going to do is ruin things ever. Jonah's head fall down away from the sky. Eyes took the ground, as the wolf's arms suddenly both fell limp in at his side. This is my life now. This is what I am. All I can do is run away and hurt people who care about me. He was right. He was right. There is no effing point anymore. I'd just be doing everyone else a favor. Jonah! Danny's head was still pounding, but he knew he had yet enough. Jonah visibly flinched at the sound of his name, but at that the bird almost wanted to smile at the slight hint of his friend, returning from this madness that had been invading him. He did not smile, though. instead stealing himself before rising back onto his feet as he once became conscious of his own heartbeat. He looked at the terrified wolf. The tear flooding Jonah's eyes almost seemed to make them sparkle under the starlight, and for a moment Danny wondered whether or not he was truly imagining just how bland they seemed to Blaston. Oh, can I wait? Can I hug you, Jonah? You what? Danny paused, looking down between his feet as the beat of his heart synchronized with their sway. If I am being completely honest, this whole night has been terrifying. First, there was the message and not knowing whether or not you were okay, and then going 100 plus in a residential area just to get here in time. Things got a lot better once I found you though. I was still worried, but once we were together, at least. Wait. Oh, okay. I was still worried, but once we were together, at least I knew you were safe, and that whatever you were going through, I could do my best to be there for you. But even with all that, the scariest thing I've seen all night was you just now running off onto the night, alone. Scary? The wolf laughed again. Hell yeah, I'm scary. Fucking look at me. I'm going insane. No. You are not. You're not scary, Jonah. You're outspoken. You're funny. You're creative. And you're loving. You're the reason I'm out in the middle of nowhere, rolling around in the dirt at 2 in the morning. Yeah, because it's 2 in the morning. It's 2:24 in my place. Anyway, yeah, because I started freaking out and wrote you into this terrible sound of mine. No one should have to deal with this bullshit. It's not effing worth it. It is to me. The wolf paused. He inhaled as his muzzle opened to speak, but no words came out. I know you are going through a lot right now. I know that it must hurt so much, and it scares me to see you hurting like this. But the thing that scares me more is the thought of losing you too. Then he felt his body growing warm as the words he felt falling out of him, one after the other. His eyes so focused on the wolf that he barely noticed the tears pooling within them. That's why I came, and that's why I ran after you, because the thought of that image I had in my mind of you running away from everything alone, the thought of that possibly being the last time I might ever see you again was. Danny felt them now, though the tears that streamed down the feather of his face as his own floodgates fell open and his heart poured out into the night. And yet, he couldn't help but smile. And it's why I'm crying right now. Because I'm so happy to see that you are still here. that I didn't lose you to this. Dani spread his arm, gesturing to the wall around them. I need you to know that you're not a burden, Jonah. You're not. You deserve so much more than that. And I just really hope that one day you will see that the same way I do. Dani rubbed his eyes as the wolf snuffled, the corners of Jonah's muzzle twitching to betray the insistence he had tried to wear on his sleeve. Please adjust. Please promise me that no matter how much it hurts, promise me that you won't hurt yourself, Jonah. Because that would hurt me more than any punch ever could. Oh, you guys are good friends. Dani watched, eyes wide, as the wolf voice trembled. All he wanted was for it to have been enough. That what he felt in his head could be enough to stop all this. The wolf opened his mouth again, as if to speak, only to press his face into his paws and began to bawl. But this time, there were no words of despair or anguish, no reason why he deserved this pain. These tears were pure and free from self-hatred. Dani stepped toward the wolf and wrapped his arm around him tightly. Jonah's fur was soft and his body was warm. Smiling faintly of citrus, he felt the wolf's chest and heartbeat as he cried and as he breathed. I promise. I promise. Thank you. That's all I needed to hear. Ah. The two hugged the hug until the wolf cries eventually. One waned into faint whimpers, and finally until all tears were shed. The only sound he heard between the two of them was the occasional sniffle. Hey, Jonah. Yeah? Do you want to get some food with me? I know a decent pancake place that might still be open. There was a pause. Then Dani felt the wolf grip loosen as Jonah pulled back from the hug, sniffling once more and freeing his arm to wipe his eyes as his muzzle waned into the form of a smile. I'd love to. Oh, this is good evening. And okay, scared mind. Ending to scared mind. Okay. Credit. Those are the credits, guys. Orange juice. Logarithmical eagle. Programming, editing, UI design. Production management. Lighting, UI design. And McGlory. I wanna say it like that. Category. Okay. Orange juice. Production management, writing, music composition. Okay. Good job, guys. Good job. Glamour, Jordan, moves, background art. Jordan, he had background art, promotional art, credit art, beta tester, concept arts. Okay, you guys are wolfy like. Crow, flare, she, they, concept art. Okay. Marcus, ventures, he, him, music composition. Patreon supports. Okay, you guys can support them, okay? And this is their idea, I guess. Oh, code driven. Okay, all these are all telling I did, but the credit is also in my. Oh, in my description. Okay, special thanks to Harshi, Muchi, Uchi, Porshi. Okay, Porshi. Okay, continue. How about this one? How about if we went check Jonah's your spot? Danny pulled off the road a ways out of town, down a little packed dead trail, parching the trees which hung in a canopy over the pass. He had recovered somewhat from the last conversation, though a chill still hung in the car. It was a dull, creeping, cold, oppressive, and thick, but it was by no means an impediment to either of them. Rather, it seemed an invitation to break the mood. But still, no words came to Danny. No matter how far inside his mind he scraped for topics. That's how he came to think, "Don't worry, I'm not kidnapping you," was a good joke to make at the moment. Then he glanced over Jonah, who once again did not seem to notice that Danny had said anything at all. "Yeah." "Jonah." "Yeah." "You say something?" "No." Danny clapped his hand on the steering wheel. Danny clapped his hand and leaned into it. He swallowed. "Hey, so, how?" Danny paused for a moment, mouth open to breathe out. "What are you thinking? What do you think?" He gestured out in front of him, waving a hand to emphasize the beauty of the passing pitch black forest. He saw Jonah look absently at him from his peripheral. What do you think?" "Of the forest? Well, yeah. I mean, we have like a minute more to go, but do you think? What do you think?" Danny slowed so he could gauge Jonah's reaction. He simply stared at him. The cogs in his head clearly trying to piece together a reasonable answer for such question, which he didn't know how exactly the point. What was? "It's nice, I guess. It's secluded and quiet." Right. He could feel Jonah's scanning eyes, glancing him up and down. Only then did Danny realize Jonah was trying to read him, to read his intentions. He tried for a natural face, but it was too late. It seemed Jonah had come to a conclusion he liked, and glanced down at his lap in deep contemplating. Only a dozen or so seconds passed before the pass widened slightly into a circle of trampled brush and woods. Danny wheeled his car around so it could face the road once more, then cut the ignition. It sputtered, then silenced. Total silence invaded from the outside, spare in insentient bird song or a desolate cicada croak. The former had always, unnerved Danny somewhat. "We'll have to walk the rest of the way, but it's not far. It's kinda out of the way though, at least in terms of the main road, so watch out for tick and whatnot." "Know what? Actually, I think I've got some bug spray in the bag. Hold on." Danny twisted in his seat, using a passenger side headrest as a leverage. "Okay, yep, hold on." It's in the corner on the floor. I think I braked too hard earlier. Break it. He unclicked his seatbelt and guided it back to its place against the door, then leaned and grabbed for the spray can. Oh, hold on. He pressed his feet onto the floor, pushing himself out of the seat slightly. He propped his ribs on the metal console and reached further. The tip of his finger just grazed it. Come on. Do you? No, I got it. Don't worry. Dani contoured further, pushing from his seat and twisting around the full corner. His bottom rib slipped off console and he was gutted by it. He reached for the middle of the can, but it rotated just out from his grasp. Shit, I've got it. Hold on. He wriggled slightly further around the corner. He was now nearly completely free of his seat and balancing entirely on the console, feet off the ground and the edge digging into his hip until he eventually wrapped his hand around the can and lifted. Finally, he was interrupted by the tipping of his face into the back seat carpeting. His shoes hitting the The rest was an awkward, slow slide as gravity overtook him. The hand he had been using to stabilize himself now holding a half-empty aerosol of bug repellent. The backseat door, which his head was now next to as the backseat door next to. He laid face down on the floorboard open. Dani felt the car rise from his grasp and glanced up to see Jonah looking through the now open door. Thanks. The back roads a bit less effort though. Yep. Dani groaned. He shimmied through the open door, planted his finger in the soft sock, and kicked his way from the car, spinning onto his feet. Right, spray me. But why are you looking at me like that? Dani squinted, cracking his back slightly ajar. His eyes glanced down to the can in Jonah's hands, and Jonah's eyes followed, then a look of realization. All right. Dani gave him one last sour look glance before turning around and holding his arm out. Hey, I'm not lying. I have relatives who will pass on stuff on command. One of my uncles just applied. Jonah did so, sweeping back and forth with the chemical mist and the sound of the spray deafening the near silence. He didn't even notice the blunt emptiness of the woods, and not on any of his other trips here. Though he supposed maybe he just wasn't paying it much mind before. Okay, alright, let me get you done. He took the can and did the same, spraying Jonah back. Jonah. Okay. Then spraying his own front, then Jonah's. Comment down in the comment section, Jonah. Or donuts. Alright, perfect. Now, the fun part. Dani, oh yeah. There was a pause of Dani began patting himself down, searching for his phone. I don't know. Is this really worth it? This spot? Yeah, I mean, I came out here like every other week. Like I said, I think you are going to lose. That's not what I meant. Danny stopped fishing the phone out of his pocket for a moment, turned and looked at him. Jonah took a long breath, then continued, a hand wrapped around the opposite elbow. I mean, doing all this for me. I'm not worth the trouble of all this. I know you took the time to drive me all the way out here, so you could show this secret spot. Jonah flicked his hand to punctuate. After a moment, his arms dropped to his side, and he seemed to deflate as his gaze turned to the ground. But you are not doing this for the right person. But out of everyone, why me? Danny swallowed, feeling as if he was submerged entirely by the pervasive silence around him. What do you mean? Like, show this spot. No, Danny, please just. He held out his arm in a wide shrug, then dropped them to his side again, with a clap against his jeans. You know what I mean. It's not impossible to figure it out. Sideways glances, the smile that you only gave me. You were at your house when I sent that test, right? And how long did it take you? 15, 20 minutes? If even that. And I appreciate it. I really do. But why me? Wait. The rope. The... I get it now. Danny said nothing. Can you guys tell me what I got? A hand is the thing that got, fall out of his back. You guys can tell what was Jonah was about to do to himself. The crouching weight around him made him feel like he had been buried. Every inch of his body pressed and cold. Thoughts hung breathless and dead in his mind. His eyes unfocused and flexed on some middle distance. But every quiet moment left Jonah to think more and more. Please. Tears carved trench down the fur of his cheeks. What is it that you see in me that I can't see in myself? One good fucking thing. Name one thing I've achieved, one good thing I've done. If I hadn't Jonah nearly buckled in on himself as he took in a racking breath. I've ruined my family. I've ruined this every night for you. What's the point of me being here if all I do is ruin everything? His breaths were feral now, uncontrolled, rasp tearing from his chest. His eyes were hysterical, frenzied. His knees knocked onto one another, barely able to support him as he leaned against the hood of the car, cutting black beams in the headlights shine. He was right, that was right. What's the point? Everyone would be better if I was just dead. Danny lunged forward, panicking and unsure of what else to do, wrapping his arm around Jonah. In one jerk motion, Jonah called back his arm and hammered it forward. The wolf fist cut just beneath Danny's left eye, sending the blood hard onto his side. Caution, somewhat the grass and the damp soil as he rolled onto his back, gasped for air. A menagerie of emotions and thoughts rumbled through his head as a chore of ringing in his ears. Ah! Sorry, I did not mean. Jonah stammered, face stretched into a ca- a caricature of itself as he slowly began to. I'm not sure if I read it wrong, okay? If I read it right. Began to back away around the car. Oh. He grabbed his own wrist with his other arm, pulling it onto his chest. The expression he now wore was one of guilt and self-betrayal, but beneath it all, one that suggested he wasn't the least bit surprised. No, Jonah. See, he slid his back down to the side of Danny's car, leaning his head against the door. He stared empty onto the ocean of black canopy above them. This is what I do. Danny shakily stood back onto his feet. What happened to you, man? Quickly sweeping off a clump of dirt that had launched itself into his elbow. He then looked down at the shivered wall below him, offering down a hand. Finish this at the spot. I think you're gonna like it. Jonah stared up at the hand, defeated. He said and dropped his gaze again. I don't get it. Because, Jonah, I want to try and show you who you really are, what you mean to me. No more hiding it. It's not fair to you. Jonah sat for a moment, almost perfectly motionless. Finally, he glanced up once more, truly seeing Dani. Dani wore no smile, and his eyes had begun to swell. The bottom lid already creeping towards his golden iris. But his eyes were bright. The hand he held out tremored slightly, but it held firm all the same. Please, Jonah. Jonah took Dani's hand. He used his free arm to whip away at his puffy eyes, sniffing away at his clogged nose. Dani used his phone, a flashlight, to light the path ahead of them. He did not let go of Jonah's hand as they walked. It was only a minute or so before they reached a parting in the trees, beyond which lay a bluff. Dani led Jonah up to the knoll, trudging through the half-pod grass where he had treed before finally stopping at the top. Oh, this is a good view, man. Before them was a small drop-off which fed onto a starlit river that reflected the image of the starlight sky perfectly above the tops of trees from the surrounding wood cut into the edge of the river's reflection, almost as if it was were a world of its own hanging beneath the surface. A breath carried through the raven soundlessly, rippling through the grass, waving plans of moonlight to skate over the surface. The world around them held its breath. No sound beside their footsteps polluted their clearing. It felt strange to Dani, but pervasive. Every sound they made was amplified tenfold by sheer contrast. A pop of branch startled him. He looked on into the forest, but only silence greeted him back. He glanced back at Jonah, and after another moment, he took another step forward, letting the grass reform behind him. A lonesome tree, only 10 or so feet away, stood silent, even as the leaves pressed intertwined. Dani glanced at Jonah, smiling sadly when he saw the quiet wonder in his eyes as he stared up the stars. He glanced down. Oh my god. I hate my running nose. He glanced down, only now realizing that their hands were still locked together. This is it, so how did you find this place? I actually don't know. I just kinda did. Must be pulled off the road at some point. I don't know. Dani nodded to the ground, then lowered himself. Jonah slumped next to him all the while. Neither wanted to let the other hands free. But I come here a lot when I need a way out. If I am stressed, frustrated, need some space, whatever. But I don't know. I never feel alone out here, Like I came here and no matter what, I feel like everything will be alright. I don't know if it's the sound of the forest which Dani paused, letting his voice echo across the pool of cosmos before them. I guess decided to vanish for the night, but Dani laid back, focusing on the miasma amongst the dark above. It's my spot, I've never seen anyone else out here, and I don't think I really want to. Then why did you bring me? Dani refocused back to his surrounding. Jonah was looking down at him, still sitting. He lifted his gaze back to the sky. Because I like you more than anyone else. Why? Dani felt Jonah lie next to him. He could feel his warmth in the cool of the night. How he was so close. Their hoodies brushed at the shoulders. I don't really know. I've never felt like this with anyone else before. Oh. And I'm not gonna lie, it scares me a little because I am always afraid I might lose you somehow. I always thought it was if I was too much, if I pushed you too far, if I was too myself, I guess. And so when I got that text, it never even crossed my mind that it was a possibility before. But this time I know that, there would be no coming back from it. That's well, it really scared me. Dani sniffed, wiped away at the tears finally beginning to dam on his eyelids, only remembering he had been hit afterward as the dull throb spiked into a twinge of pain. He did not care much, though. I don't know why I like you so much. Over anyone else, which sounds bad, I guess. But some of the reasons I like you to begin Wait, it's because you're kinda outspoken. Just, just. Danny held his free hand up to the sky, staring at the grain of the feathers that clung to his knuckles. You are you, and you always care about everyone else so much you forgot to care about yourself. A silence hung between them. For a moment, Danny could hear Jonah breathe, the shifting of his head in the padded grass. Danny turned his head too, and Jonah's eyes were on him. He was close, just few inches. He could feel Jonah breathe, warming the tip of his beak. So you took it on yourself to do it. You make it sound like an obligation. That's the thing I don't think you get. I want to help you. I want to take care of you. Not out of some sense of duty. You aren't some hopeless charity case, Jonah. You are not a burden. He glanced down to their hand, squeezed. He hadn't realized how soft Jonah's palm hands were. The way his hands' fingertips had closed from the blank base. You matter to me, be more than I think you could ever know, more than I could ever express with words. I am always here for you, and honestly, I'm scared for you. I just wish someday, I hope you see yourself the way I see you, because you deserve nothing less. Danny glanced back over to Jonah. Jonah's eyes still fixed on Danny. There was an intensity there that hadn't been there before. He was aware of every breath from his nariz. The way it met with Jonah, his head drummed slow, heavy, and in the moment, Danny felt weightless. Hey, Jonah. Danny's voice was different. Somehow it was a whisper, but there was a dull pang of something else ringing from his numbed chest. Yeah. Danny turned onto his side toward Jonah. He stared into Jonah's eyes with a near vicious babble. Swear to me. Swear that no matter what, no matter how bad things begin, you won't hurt yourself. Please, I need you to promise. Without thought, Danny palm found Jonah's chin, his hand following the contour of his jaw. He wondered if Jonah could see the desperation within him, the hungry needs to reassurance. I promise. In that moment, Danny initiated, pressing a slightly open beak around the end of Jonah's mouth. The kiss lasted only a moment before Danny pulled back, his head now hammering, his breath settled completely. Oh, okay, but as if he saw the look on Jonah's face, his head swallowed, then stopped. The warmth that had been building within him floated away. All at once, Jonah's face was flat again. His muzzle still slightly paused. He seemed confused. No, not confused. He looked unnerved. Danny pulled away, his hand pulling from Jonah's face slowly, tucking his arm onto his chest. His eyes slipped down, finally breaking eye contact. I'm sorry, Jonah. I'm sorry, I missed it and... No, you didn't. Danny's eyes left again. Jonah whispered, just a prickle of warmth spreading from the center of his chest. Missed things, I mean. The wolf let out a hearty sigh. Danny, I do like you, but I don't know. I don't think I'm ready for anything, really, right now. Oh, Jonah turned back again to look at the stars. I mean, I wasn't even sure if I would make it this far into the night, if I am being honest. The world played out. Something akin to a chuckle, but it was very joyless. Then he still stared at the side of Jonah's face, a dizzying real life crashing into him. He nodded, joining Jonah in looking at the stars. I just need some time, I think. I'll be here for however long it might take. Danny, Danny glanced at Jonah, barely moving his head. Jonah didn't so much as turn his head, as if almost speaking to himself. Yeah, I don't think I said thanks for coming for me, Ellen. Thank you. Danny's cheeks lit ablaze, and his sheepish grin shattered his face of quiet contemplating. Okay, always. The rest of the night passed as soundless drum would. No more words were shared, but Jonah contemplated something in the back of his mind, and then he had done what he had came to do. Just before they left, much later that night, Danny would linger just a moment longer than Jonah, carving promise into the longsome tree with his pocket knife. He let it stand as a reminder for the both of them that no matter what, neither of them was alone in their problems anymore. Every time Danny thinks back on it now, older and with the gift of hindsight, he sees how little it did in the end. Oh, ending on the sacred spot. And that's it for tonight. Try throw false hollows. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, guys. While we explored Night Drive, this game may be short, but the choices and the emotion hit hard. Do you guys really? Well, we only had one choice, but the storytelling was it was good. And it's just the beginning of the Tales of Us universe, so there is way more to come. If you enjoyed the stream, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and turn on notification so you won't miss the next ride. I'd love to hear your thoughts, guys, on the story too. So drop them in the chat or comment below. Until next time, stay safe, stay cozy, and remember, the night is never as quiet as it seems. Good night, everyone. Bye bye.